So he would always tell me, my dad would always say, let me tell you about my brother, smartest guy in the family, but he doesn't finish anything. You start anything, you gotta finish it.
Because this is capitalism, bro, where the winners win.
What's your podcast? The Coach HP Show. I love it. Coach HP.
HP,
I like it,
what
man.
a vibe. You got a great vibe going on. We're happy we can meet you.
Great energy.
Dude, we're just gonna get right into this. First question, Pat. How many people in Miami think you're Cuban?
Many.
Many, huh?
Many. Tell me why though.
Because I'm Cuban.
Okay.
I was born in Cuba. You have the classic Cuban look. Tall, dark, handsome, you got the hair going, and they hit everybody with the Spanish, right? I didn't know your people existed till I moved to Los Angeles. I didn't know there was
because they're not here.
Because they're not here.
Yeah.
So I grew up here. I didn't know what an Armenian was. I didn't know what an Iranian was, a Persian, nothing. And then the other place was, where's your mom from?
Assyrian, Armenian. Yeah, my mom's from Baku.
So I didn't know any of that stuff.
Where'd
right?
you live in LA?
I lived, bro, now we're getting deep real quick. So I lived in a car for 6 months because a guy who discovered me was, let's start off like this. I'm the biggest failure in the history of Miami baseball by far. Okay? Let me see the ball real quick, throw it.
Miami baseball.
Miami baseball. Throw it, throw it. So, first thing before, please. You're not interviewing me, buddy. I'm interviewing you. What does that mean to you? Talk to me. You pick that up right now. What does that mean to you?
What does this mean to me?
Yes.
The most therapeutic game in the world. That's what I would say to it. Baseball is the most therapeutic game in the world to me. But this says perfect game.
I'm going to get to why it says perfect game because you don't know that yet.
Okay.
But I believe that everything in life happens for a reason.
Okay.
Right? I believe that right now you are the most, you use when you talk to people necessary, you're the most important person in what's happening now in society and in what's happening now with the shift of the two eras. We're the same age. We might not look, we're both 43, okay? We got young vibes to ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. You had Massey here, Coach Massey, Monday, preaching gems. The problem is he looks old. So the young kids are like, get this guy out of my face.
Yeah.
But where you're special, and I want to see if you agree with me in this or not, is Pat, you're one of the few guys that has a presence. You're 6'5", you're jacked, but you got a heart of gold. You're humble. You admit to your mistakes. You admit to, listen, I might be wrong, I might be right, but what you're getting is straight passion, man. And there's nobody perfect to lead the charge of whatever the fuck Patrick wants to lead right now than you. Do you agree with that or no?
I think there is, I think there's some going on. In 2008, I started making money and had already experienced a little bit of success. I had traveled the world, I'd done a lot of stuff, but I felt something was missing and I had to find my cause and my purpose. And the cause and purpose is a longer gas tank and fire. If there's an edge that I do have is I'm clear about what I'm doing with my life. And that's my edge. Now, all the other stuff, well, personality, drive, how I process issues, that's on the eye of the beholder for you to make that judgment of me. But I think... But
you got to feel it, though. You got to feel that you have it.
I do feel it. But I also feel I come from a place of I'm the guy that is willing to stand up to the guy that's manipulating and playing games. I'm very comfortable.
But you know why you're comfortable doing that? I'm going to tell you why. Because you come from a place of truth. You come from a place of heart. You're an anomaly because you are a family guy. In your heart, you're a family guy. And as I look at your history, you've searched for family your whole life, but you can relate to the single dudes. And what makes you special is you don't hate on the single guys. You're like, no, you want to have fun? Yeah. Go right ahead, whatever. Now, you're going to come this way. These are the actions of what you take. People don't do that. You do that. How are you able to do that, man?
I was having a call with a couple of my guys. And one of the guys was talking about, well, business was doing great when we were doing this. And that guy's like, our business is doing great right now. So handful of guys, their business is killing it. Handful of guys are experiencing a plateau. And I said, you know, if around you, your relationships and contacts will increase the less you judge. So what does that mean? I said, look, I went to a church in Dallas, one of the biggest churches in Dallas. The pastor's been there for a long time. And I go to this place, and the place is a campus. It can fit 10,000 people in the arena that they have in the sanctuary, but he's only got 500 people in the arena. And I said, why is this the case? I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out. Why? He's still the guy that's preaching. So an Easter service comes up, and I go to the Easter service because Easter service tells you about the church. So I go to the service and I hear him. He has an hour. What makes Easter service unique? Here's what makes it unique. 99% of the services you have, nobody shows up. But everybody shows up to what? Easter service or Christmas. So this is every pastor's Super Bowl to convert people.
Yes, yes.
Right? Think about it. You have this opportunity. Guys who are not going to become members, okay? Or guys that used to go, you can get them to say, maybe I got to go back to church. And then I listened to a sermon for an hour and I said, man, I feel so judged after an hour. He kept judging everybody. You know, shame on you with this. I'm like, dude, shame on you. Shame on you. You think that's going to get people to want to be around? Everybody feels ashamed because of stupid things they've done in the past. You tell me who doesn't have something in their closet to say they're embarrassed of, right? The less you judge, the more you understand, the more you'll have a variety of different types of people in your life. So I feel anytime you see a guy that has different types of people from different walks of life, deep down inside, you're seeing a guy that doesn't judge a lot.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I had a whole thing planned here to this. You're going to love this, Pat, of what I'm going to ask you, right? You see all this?
I see it. Prepared.
But the Massey thing kind of steered me off because how I said everything happens for a reason, right? You post a story with your son in a baseball field with a Cubs uniform and there, I think it was Monday night. It was Monday night.
Yep.
You probably don't know anything about me. I'm two things. I'm the biggest failure in the history of Miami baseball. But God gifted me. I'm like the kid whisperer. So nobody has dealt with more professional people and their kids than me. Coincidentally, you didn't know this was coming, but this is who you have in front of you right now. Nobody can take, I've taken, you name it, with their kids and try to figure out how do we make Jordan's kid Jordan, right? So as I'm watching you and I study you, I go, okay, the basis of everything of my content that I do it for my dad. And I'm going to tell you why. We have very similar stories because our dad are prominent figures, right? Your dad is your best friend. My dad prepared me for everything in life except to deal with him. So my dad's the youngest of 15 kids.
Holy moly. Cuban.
Just like your dad, mustache, right? Anybody that has a mustache, you know they're serious. For some reason, that's seriousness. You know what I'm saying? But my dad, where he messed up was he beat the shit out of me when I failed in baseball. So he created this like weird thing that I can't trust you because not only are you beating the shit out of me, you're beating the shit out of my mom, my sister. And when you grow up in abuse, you either embrace it or you run away from it. And I would see that and I lived in fear for 18 years because he tried to control me. So my goal is to figure out in everything I do, the father-son relationship, right? And what leads to it, how can I fix that to this, right? So this man right here did a bunch of pins for you, right? Before we get into that, look at what a coincidence is. That's your slogan, right? When did you come up with that?
Oh my God. I mean, this is 20 years. This is what was preached to me and I preach it to everybody. Your attitude and your effort.
Okay. You're not gonna, hopefully you don't sue me, okay? So I had this dude commission me a picture, okay, that he's done it for like probably 3 years. Look at mine. Look.
You gotta be kidding me.
I swear to God.
I love that.
Now, the third one we have to add to this, which is something we talked about, is expectations. Because we can manage expectations and we gotta teach that, right? But since I told you what I care about, look at that.
That's sick, man. Yep.
That's
6 years old.
That's what I care about, right? Okay, so now, let's talk about Gabriel. Let's talk about Pops.
Yep.
So I got Pops, right? In your eyes now, if we could go back, kind of like the Ghost of Christmas Past. Remember that movie that he kind of falls? If me and you sit down now with Pops in Where was this picture taken?
This is 1984 Iran.
So me and you in Iran right now, looking at this picture here, what makes that dude your boy?
Highest level of intensity. His standard and expectation was never be afraid of the truth. You don't need to lie to anybody. Just tell them exactly where you're at and what you're thinking about. Hard work. If you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. He had a brother, Johnny, who was the smartest guy of all of them amongst the 4 kids. And I got his height. He's 6'4", 6'5". And he was a physicist and he's a math guy. So I got the math from him and I got the math from my mom and her brother. But the challenge he had was he was known as 70% Johnny. He would start projects and he would go all the way to, that's the uncle, his brother. He would go all the way up to 70% of finishing the project and then he would drop it and move on and go to the next one. So he was great. He was the smartest, brightest. He would read books. He was all about constantly reading books that nobody wanted to read. Physics, chemistry. Who reads books like that? His brother did. And he would smoke a pipe kind of like Einstein. That's kind of how he was. That was his personality. But he never finished anything. So he would always tell me, my dad would always say, let me tell you about my brother. Smartest guy in the family, but he doesn't finish anything. You start anything, you got to finish it. Smartest guy, he's smarter than all of us, but he never finishes anything. So he would always feed that stuff. But at the same time, the guy loved in his own way without ever telling you he loved you. But you felt 100% of this man's love. 100% of his love.
Pat, when you would mess up, how would he correct you? What would he do? Because it's a different era, you know? We came up with the era that our parents just look at us and it's fear. And
I'm going to tell you something that's going to be very weird. So my mom has hit me. My dad's never once hit me. Okay. My mom's dynamic, the dynamic between the two of them was very different. My dad, in a way, was tough and rough without ever raising his hands on you. But you respected him and you wanted to come through for the guy. Mom was slightly more on the judgment side. You know, you can't embarrass me in front of my family. You can't embarrass me like that. You
That's
can't
like more like women stuff. Like women tend to do that, right?
My dad could give a shit about that.
Exactly.
Right? My dad's like, listen, here's what I want you to do, right? So my dad never, from day one till today, he's never once laid his hands on me. But at 6 years old, at this age, when I'm in school, I go to school, the teacher asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a dad because I want to be like this guy. You know, we're talking the other day on the podcast on Massey, the same thing. And we're talking about Tiger. We're talking about Williams sisters. We're talking about Agassi. We're talking about all these guys. And we're saying, what percentage of the success is the pops? What percentage of the success is the talent, right? He said 75% plus is the dad, right? Because Tiger's dad started early and the mom, both of them. Serena Williams, the Williams sisters, the dad, are you kidding me? The guy's ridiculous, right? With the kind of expectation that he had. It's continuous, constant, that's happening. It's nonstop. You see a Trump, whether you like Trump or not, Trump is a byproduct of a Fred Trump, and Fred Trump is a byproduct of his grandfather. Fred's father, Trump's grandfather. If you've never studied Trump's grandpa, you will know why Trump is like Trump. Go study Trump's grandfather, who opened up a restaurant, I believe a strip club or something, in Alaska, out of all the places. Like there's this documentary called Trumpster. Anybody you meet that's hardcore tough, determined, doesn't take shit, and it's constantly going, you're generally going to find somebody in the lineage there, somebody that either challenged the hell out of them, beat them up, expectation was here, nothing was ever good enough, and they had to rise up to it. Now, and that continues forever,
but let me ask you a question. So
as
I watch you, right, I'm like, all right, Pat's trying to figure out the formula for himself. I watch you and I'm like, he's trying to figure out. When I hear you talk parenting, and the only reason why I'm an expert in this is because I get about 1,000 DMs a week. Parents all over the country just asking me questions about sports and stuff like that. And as I watch you, I haven't heard anything that I disagree with, because you're on point on everything as you go, right? But as I see it, okay, there's Pat, there's Gabriel, Pat, Tico, right? Which is my dad's name's Hector, I'm Hector. They call me Egg Tico, so is it. And then there's Dylan. Forget what they have differences. What 4 similarities and characteristics are you now looking with you four that David met? What are you saying? Like, man, we're the same in this.
So it's the values you can teach, okay? I can't do anything with your DNA, meaning your, things that you do on your own personality that, let's just say, you are somebody that's a morning person. You're a night person. I can't do nothing with that, okay? That's you. But the values and principles I can teach you, that's transferable to anybody, okay? That can be transferred to anybody. So your 4 kids can come from the same mom and dad and say the dad is going to be somebody that's a high standard type of person. And he's going to teach them the right values and principles. Keep your word. Don't be afraid of the truth. Read, work on yourself, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't mean all of the 4 are going to apply everything at the highest levels, right? But the values and principles they're going to know. So lead, respect, improve, love. Everybody knows that. Courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. Everybody knows that. We don't bully. We don't get bullied. Every one of the kids knows that. I, Dylan James Bet David, will one day be a great leader. Every kid knows that, right? Now, it's to watch them individually to see what moves you. The other day, we're throwing a baseball outside, me, Tico, and Dylan. And Dylan's just throwing it like this, very
very chill.
Chill. I'm like, what are you doing? I said, throw the ball. It's just throwing. I don't like this game. I said, I don't care if you like this game. Throw the ball. Hit me. Throw it. Then he throws it. Then he's got a button the moment you press. If Tico gets angry, the ball is coming.
Right.
So he's driven by that.
Right.
Okay? He's driven by hitting that one button, and then a whole different person shows up.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then he's going to hit you. And he hits the ball. I'm going to feel it. And he doesn't like the game of baseball. So, but Dylan is based off of something else. Dylan is more based off, see how you did that? You can do it again. See how you got that? See if you can do a little bit better. See, you got, good job, buddy. That's Dylan. Dylan wants to, he's a flag carrier personality. Right. That's Dylan. Tico doesn't give a shit. Tico's like, listen, here's how I'm going to do it. These are my standards. Here's my wiring. You like it, you don't like it, that's your problem. Mm-hmm. But neither is a problem. That's their DNA. It's on the leader's ability to get them to make the right adjustment dealing with those personality. I'll give you one mistake I made with Tico. He's 4 or 5 years old. Okay, he's playing some sport. It's either soccer or baseball. And, my dream was I'm either going to play professional baseball or I'm going to own a professional baseball team. Baseball to me is therapeutic. There's something very relaxing about the game of baseball, going to it. The sound, the ball, the way you dance, the way you pick it up, the way you throw it, you're dancing. The game is a beautiful game, right? So he's 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, here's how you do it. Why don't you do this? Go. And I'm just kicking his ass at 5 years old. Coach pulled him and said, hey, Pops, can I tell you something? I said, yeah, what's up? He says, step number 1 with a kid playing any sport, let him have fun. Leave him alone. You're going to know if this kid's going to be able to get to the next level or not, to play high school or college. You're not going to know until 12 years old. Let him enjoy the game, okay? So the mistake I made is I started the sequencing of expectation too early. Word. And rather than falling in love with the game, it was more like, come on, we got to.
Right.
So those are the times that we as parents make mistakes, and we have to understand that different. But as far as the kids go, I'm more trying to find out how you're wired and trying to push you to get the best out of you.
When you look at, and I love that, when I look at baseball and I watch you because you're an intense guy, everything's about you is intense with heart, but you're intense, right? How do you, because I know you had a talk with the coach, you said that, hey man, be tougher with my son, right? But I'm watching, I could tell by that little story that you put, my first question is he using a USSSA bat? Do they play USA bat? Because he's using a Rawlings bat, but it's a smaller one. So all these things I'm figuring out. I see the coach, older guy, which means he's chill. I'm watching everything, Mm-hmm. But what I do is, it's like how Massey said, I project, right? So this is what I do. I got a strong dad, 6'5". We got 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" coming up here soon. Let's have fun, right? But since you're a no-nonsense guy, you don't have fun unless it's like fun, right? Mm-hmm. So what I do is, these years is to set the tone. So in everything I do, especially working with kids, first thing I do is set the tone. All right, guys, these are the rules. We're gonna go here. You're gonna throw Dylan. We're gonna throw hard. We're not gonna. This is not. Now, if you want to throw that, let me know. I'll lower my expectations. But we're gonna play. This is the first thing I do. Because I started to find out, I started to ask myself, why am I the most disciplined guy but the kids love me. Like I walk into any field, hey, Coach HB, they go crazy. Because we need discipline. And you know that. We need discipline. So I set the tone. But right after I set the tone, and it's so funny, I did a post on this on ESPN. I said on ESPN like three years ago, which did real good. After I set the tone, I'm so positive. I'm like a cheerleader. Like once the tone, I'm like, Dylan, let's go, man. I don't care if Dylan walks straight from third base to second base. My man, hey, that's good. Keep it going. Because what happens is only Patrick Bet-David knows what it's like to be Patrick Bet-David. You have no idea the pressures of baseball. You say you love baseball. Baseball is the most depressing sport on the planet. It's the only sport, think of this, that out of 10 times you get to fail 7 and be not only an all-star or a Hall of Famer, but a multi-millionaire. Baseball. If in basketball, 10 shots, you miss 7, you're done. If in football, you drop 7 passes, you're done. And on top of that, let me give you an extra one. Baseball, you fail. I'm the third batter, you're fourth batter. I stand up, first at bat. I'm nervous, I'm there. The umpire fucks up. A little league umpire who's an old man making $8 a game messes up. I cannot go to you, hey Patrick, do me a favor, man. Can we switch at bat for a second? Can I go take your turn? By law, I have to wait. In Little League, it's probably 12, 11 batters to hit again. You know how depressing that is? You know how hard that is? It's the hardest thing to do in the world. So that's why I tell parents, empathy. So I was at the perfect game. I'm the first influencer because of my story. So I just started to share my story. Got picked up on social media, following, this whole thing. And I signed with Rawlings. I'm the first influencer signed with Rawlings, right? So I'm at the perfect game in San Diego last year. Best players in the country. Maguire's kid, Andrew Jones' kid, Carl Crawford's kid. Best people in the world. I feel that what's happening in society with kids is it's almost like what's happening in economic sense. We're eliminating the middle class, and it's either you're a beast or you suck. And what I care about saving is, listen, the kids that are, your older son is going to be a director, that guy, that guy ain't going to touch base. But the kids in the middle, how do I imitate the message that I see those parents do? Because what a coincidence that those parents that are watching those kids, they're not worried about anything. They're like, put your elbow, they're not saying a single word. They're just enjoying it. Maybe because they played, maybe because of right? So what I try to tell parents that are in the middle of the road right now is this. Your job is to keep the shark in the water. Don't take them out of the water. You keep them in the water. So when you're outside in the backyard and Dylan flings it like this, and inside you're like, motherfucker. I spent all this time, I was going to interview Elon, and I told him, hey, Elon, let's do it on this day so this guy could do this, right? With that pressure. And the minute you see it, go, oh, this guy's, it's not his day today. Because they don't know how to tell you that. Remember, the hardest thing to do is to drop from 43 to 9 to 10 to 5 to 4, right? So this is what you do. You sit there and watch and go, oh, this guy doesn't have it. Perfect. Buddy, let's do 3 more like this and let's jump in the pool and go play cannonball. Because I want sports to give me this. Because what I care about more than the 6-year-old is the 4. How old are you?
41.
Because you don't see too many 41-year-olds doing this, man. I have a problem right now. I've never once called my dad for advice. My dad lived his whole life for this era of being a grandfather. We literally never went anywhere. You're talking to a guy when you grew up in the 80s and 90s and your dad's beating the shit out of you every time, everywhere you go. I trained like Rambo every single day. I didn't have a TV in my room.
What's the highest level you made it at?
I made it Division 1. But I'm going to tell you why I'm the biggest failure. And this is why this message is so important. My dad sabotaged me from when I was young to the 7th grade. Sabotaged me. I'm literally a prisoner. You're a numbers guy. You become an entrepreneur. You're like, I'm selling hats, whatever. All I'm doing is I'm baseball 24/7. So my dad is Cuban. When you're Cuban, you do 3 things exceptionally well, other than make love. Number 1, baseball. Number 2, boxing. And number 3 is dominoes with a 9, not the 6, the 9 with the long one, right? So my dad, it was baseball, but he trained me like a boxer. So I'm a kid with an 8-pack, ripped, doing wheelbarrows on the thing. And I'm doing that 24/7. Saturday, Sunday. I went to Disney World one time in 1982 for my sister's birthday. That's it. Okay. I have an older sister. My whole life was baseball. My dad is my manager. My mom is videotaping me, and my sister's the scorekeeper by force. That is our life. There is nothing else. No TV in my room, no Nintendo. The temperament of the house was how good Hector did in baseball. Hector did great. It's awesome. Everybody wants to be around me because you know how parents are. They think the juju, like it goes, like it fits. So everybody wants next to the stud, whatever. What happened is when I turned 7 years old, my dad over pitches me. And I'm telling Papi, el brazo me está matando, like my arm is killing me. And with the rage of the world, he's like, "Pero tú eres maricón, okay?" Which is like, "You're fat," you know, that to us, and gay. That was like our shit. That's una cosa de hombre in front of everybody or whatever. So I learned how to pitch through pain, and the adrenaline would kick in. And we won first place that year, but I lost my arm. Like I couldn't literally comb my
Seventh
hair.
grade.
7th grade, right? I'm the tallest kid.
What part of Miami? Like what high school did you play at?
I went to a high school called Braddock.
Yeah.
Okay. But all this here that you see here is the best high school. It's called Columbus High School. I'm gonna get into that. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is what happens. So as I lose my arm, I'm still a great hitter. So I'm about to go to high school. I get recruited by everybody. But my dad's a blue collar guy. That's a brain, just like you in numbers, calculus teacher in Cuba, engineer, all these things. But he works for Pepsi, stocking Pepsi things for 30 years. Tremendous guy, tremendous worker, never calls in sick. The guy did. When you know a guy drives like this, okay, and in the 90s or 80s didn't have illegal cable, that's my dad. My dad will not cheat you a thing. But it's hard to live in this world because in this world, you gotta be in the gray of a lot of things. If you right now came late today, there's a good reason. I can't sit here and go, "Hey, buddy, come on." That's my dad. My dad makes people shorter and fatter. I make them leaner and taller. That's my dad. And he thinks he's being funny. He's like old school guy. You know what I'm saying? So when I get to 8th grade, Patrick, that I start developing and I start realizing chicks and I realize what's really going on, I was like, look what this guy did to me. So you know where I fought him? Because I couldn't fight him physically. On the baseball field. Motherfucker. That's what I'm going to get back to. So I had identity issues growing up. I wanted to be the cool guy because I'm losing. I have this look, I have this physique, but I got nothing. I don't have freedom. I don't have cool clothes. My clothes are at Kmart. I have this, I have that. And if at least I had positivity, but my dad's beating the shit out of me every time there's failure. So my life was completely off. But I noticed that I'm not a hater, that I'm extremely positive around everybody. And I have this weird, like the trauma put me in this weird thing. And I tell this to people all the time. I wet the bed till I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Dealing with trauma of my dad beating me up. Right?
How old are you? You're same age or?
We're the same age.
What month?
January. I know you're a month guy. What does January mean? That means something to
January
your
what?
world.
January
7th.
Okay, got it. And you're January 7th, 79.
79.
Got it. 43. Interesting. And your sister's older than you.
October, like you.
But how many years older?
Just one. She's
Okay,
170.
got it.
77.
Got it. Interesting dynamics. Interesting dynamic with Pops. And is he still around or no?
So my story is to get to it. So I feel you can't take your destiny away. My whole life I've run away from baseball. Baseball caused me the worst things in the world, right? When I moved to Los Angeles, J-Lo has a TV show. She discovers me here in Miami. I go, you know what? I'm going to start acting. First thing, I ruined my high school career. I tried to hit like somebody else. I tried to be like, at that time, Barry Bonds, Jose Canseco, whatever. And I'm a contact guy. But I'm trying to do more to impress, to be the guy, which later in life I would learn that lesson. So I sabotaged my whole career. I went nowhere. I walked on to Miami-Dade Community College when 3 teams turned into 1.
Do you know Adam? Do you know Adam? Do you and Adam Sosnick know each other or no?
Nah.
No. Okay.
So after I did that, I failed miserably. I went to one school in North Carolina for a little bit, D2, had a great fall. Wilhelmina started calling me. I go, La Vida Loca with Ricky Martin. I just kind of hot, like, dude, I'm going to go back to Miami. I'm done with this baseball thing. My dad was the kind of guy that I'm in college and I had a friend of mine visiting me from out of town. And he noticed that I wasn't practicing one day and he actually pulled me aside in the house. And I'm like, dude, I'm in college. This is my off season. Grabs me by the thing. He's like, what the fuck are you doing there? You know? And I was like, this guy's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So after that, I moved to Los Angeles. And in 6 months, I'm sleeping in a car because you asked me where I lived, in the Hollywood Hills. I thought California was sunny California. So I go, this is gonna be perfect. I'll sleep in my car. I never worked before. So I'll lower the windows and this will be great. And I'll find a chick. This is what I thought. This is my master plan. I'll find some white girl, find somebody that'll take me in and I can maneuver myself. Pat, I didn't talk to a single person for 6 months other than sunset tanning that I would sneak in. I talked to the girls, they let me tan for free. I look like $1 million and Equinox in West Hollywood, okay? But here's the kicker. This is why I tell people, Equinox in West Hollywood is the best Equinox. That gym, you'll see every celebrity in the world there, right? But it's also in West Hollywood, so you're very close to Boys Town. So at nighttime, that gym is 90% gay. So here I am, coming out of, I don't know where I'm at, showering, and I'm shredded, I look like a beast. In that environment in the middle of the night, one time I came out of there with my towel, all set, I go, oh my God. After that, they thought I was the mummy, because I had 20 towels all over, so they didn't even look at me. I did that. And I walked in and I was like, I know the exact gym. This is never happening to me again. So I did that. 6 months into it, my Wilhelmina goes, listen, I want you to talk to this professor. This guy's very good. I was like, okay. I go see the flyer and the flyer says, Gary Austin created the Groundlings. I don't know what any of this is. I come from the baseball world. Created the Groundlings. When Helen Hunt won her Academy Award for As Good As It Gets, she thanked him. Well, this guy has to be good then. I go to his class. Pat, when I go to his class and I'm sitting there, this dude is wearing a retro Houston Astros baseball jacket. I go, he's a baseball guy. I got him. That's all I said, he's a baseball guy. And I knew, I had a feeling inside that the acting school was going to change my whole situation. I knew. I said, once I start talking to people, he does a baseball analogy out of the blue. I raise my hand and I go, Professor, you're absolutely right. Listen, I used to play baseball, blah, 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 this whole thing. Pat, I end up living with him, his wife, and his 4 Eskimo dogs that are the most disgusting. Like, the house was a disaster, North Hollywood, a disaster. But I thought I was in the Four Seasons because I was learning and I had this thing. I never thought I'd become Coach HP, who I am now. So I did that and I find myself, I have to make a living. I never worked before and I have a certain amount of money and that's it. So he had an actor kid that was working regularly. And he goes, listen, this guy, his brother has a company called Amazing Parties that does high-end birthday parties. You'd be great at it because you're sports. So I started doing kids' birthday parties, multi-millionaire Beverly Hills birthday parties. So it's me, the reptile guy, the balloon guy, and I'm there doing baseball stuff and Dr. Dodgeball. I'm doing all these things, right? And I become a celebrity baseball coach. And I'm training celebrity kids in the Beverly Hills Little League. Okay? Where this comes into play is my last, and what I tell people, this is all stuff, bro, this interview is like you interviewing yourself. Which, by the way, I'm going to say something to you. A lot of people have asked you what the greatest interview you've done. The greatest interview you've done is Patrick interviewing Patrick. Mm-hmm. Nobody says, you don't even say that. And because it's like the Patrick who was interviewing convinced the interviewee, Patrick, was angry in the beginning because he didn't like that you asked him the dancing question, but then you convinced them. People don't pick up on that. I saw that. So that's the best interview ever. That acting job was phenomenal. So when I'm there, I start doing famous people's kids.
Coaching them.
Famous coaching them one-on-one. But I start to notice, this is where my dad comes in, that they all lack discipline. That they all these rich kids, very famous parents, but I don't see them in the practices. I see them eating and it's like chewing and food, like a mess. I go, that's the problem. And I'm 26 at the time, 27. I go, that's the problem. So I start implementing my dad's system, but 2.0, which is on a positive way. So I start telling these very famous parents that nobody tells them anything. I go, listen, buddy, you want your son to have some kind of discipline? We got to change this, right? I'm going to ask you a favor. Are you filming a movie now? No? I need you to come to watch and train. I want you to sit there. And at the time, smartphones weren't, I just want you to watch. And every once in a while, say something positive. Clap, do something, don't judge. Why? Because you got to understand that we need you. They're not going to ask you, but these kids need you. They need to see you. They need to see that vibe. And they need to see that you're part of the program. Not that you're just funding it, because at the end of the day, listen, your kids right now, you could have imagined to live in a house that you live in now. That was like a dream to you. They're only going from there up in their brains. So we get used to that. How do you prepare? Because that house didn't lead to this, right? I'm like Tarantino with my stories. How do we get to that? Because this is the guy. Because how many Bet Davids are going to work here?
Man, I remember this job. Duran. I lived off of Duran and I worked at Burger King Duran. Yeah, I was 16 years old, 17 years old, working. My boss's name was Eddie. It was me, Kogan, and Devine. Kogan and Devine were drive-through cashiers, and I was a chef. I was a cook. They wouldn't let me do anything else. So I've never been a cashier. They just would say you would make Whopper, no onions. That's what I made in the back. And then, one day I left this place. I got a job offer at Bob's Big Boy, which is 5 miles from here on Glen Oaks. And then after that, I ended up at Bob's Big Boy in this place, Haagen-Dazs. One day, I'm at my sister's house and they stole my car. And I woke up in the morning, I called my dad. I said, Dad, you got to come pick me up. I'm going to the Army. He came, took me to Glendale, went to the recruiting station, Jesus Guerrera.
Now, why the Army? Because you just felt hopeless?
No, because Jesus been following up with me since 14.
Really?
Yeah, because I had bad grades. And he came and he says, listen, man.
Being smart, you have bad grades.
I was great at calculus. I was great at math. Everything else I had no interest for. Zero. And I wasn't a kid that would ditch. I was there every day. I just didn't like any of the structure that they have. Didn't do anything for me. I needed discipline in my life because I'm living with my mom. So my dad's not able to discipline me for 8 years. So the last time my dad disciplined me, I was 10 years old, where there was structure. My mom couldn't do anything with me. She couldn't control me. So I go to the Army, and then Drill Sergeant Green gets a hold of me. Okay. This guy, 5'8", 5'9", he would walk very stoic, calm. One day, it's me and 3 other guys. Everybody's a tough guy. At least we think we're tough guys. We're all acting tough. We're getting to fights and, laundry, all these places we're doing fights. And he says, I want to take you guys on a place. And he takes us in the H1 Hummer, and we go to the back 40. And he's driving. It's like 40 minutes at this point. It's kind of awkward. We're like, why is this guy, going to a place like this? So he gets up. And he says, okay, you guys can step outside. And we step outside, and he takes off his jacket. He hangs it off the mirror. And he says, okay, who wants to go first? And we're like, what do you mean? We can fight. I'm not going to tell anybody. But which one of you guys wants to go first? I'm like, Drill Sergeant Green, we don't want to beat you. We're all 6'2", every one of us. Like, we're all big, all of us, all 4 of us. He says, don't worry, I won't tell anybody. Well, let's fight. Who wants to go first? So I'm like, okay, let's see what's going to happen. So one of us goes, beats the hell out of all 4 of us, but he played one rule. And here's the thing he did. He never once hit our face. Everything he hit was here.
No way.
We couldn't breathe. And we're all on the ground. We're like, we're done. We're good. He says, you guys going to listen to me moving forward. I'm the alpha. You listen to me. Do you understand me? We said, yes, sir. He said, don't call me sir. I'm your drill sergeant. Yes. Put your clothes on. We went back. Game over. That guy was our drill sergeant that we'd follow anywhere. Graduation comes. My dad drives from LA to South Carolina, and he sees my drill sergeant, and my drill sergeant says, sir, we were able to do to your son in 12 weeks what you and your wife couldn't do in 18 years. Okay. And he didn't know the whole story that I didn't live with my dad, but the guy brought discipline in a way that I needed it, because at that point I had no clue what I was going to do in my life. He gave me structure. He gave me discipline. He gave me confidence. And when I got out of the military, I applied all of that to my life. But that's how this thing came about with Burger King.
When I look at your trajectory, it's so interesting how you find a bride. You're like, this is the one I want to marry. You pre-qualify. How do you get the idea you pre-qualified her? You literally said, I want you to read this book. Here are your questions, whatever. That is something that isn't common, right? It's almost like you knew that this was coming. So you didn't want to mess this up with like a divorce or like a cheating thing or like something like that. How did you think of that? Who told you to think that way?
Nobody did, but it's probably going to come from my dad again. But for me, marriage is one of the biggest risks you'll ever take in your life. It's very risky, okay? Especially in America. In the Middle East, marriage is not risky because you're protected. In America, it's very risky because you're not protected. She's protected. Even though if she can screw up in every possible way, you're not protected. Right. She's protected in America. So that's the system. So knowing it's one of the biggest risks you'll take, okay, marriage, having kids, starting a business, all of those are big risks. If you're going to take a risk that big, you got to be as prepared and clear up front before you enter the institution of marriage. You got to have the emotion. You got to have the physical attraction. You got to have the connection. You got to have the magic. You got to have all that stuff. But all that stuff is not going to make it last forever, right? And then you got to have the other things. Say, how many days can you be okay with me being away? At what time at home do you need me home at night? How many kids do you want to have? Who manages the finances? Who makes the final decision? If you have issues with your family, who's supposed to pay the money for your dad's funeral? Your mom's, am I supposed to pay for it? If your sister screws up, who's supposed to take care of the finances? Your own money or my money or our money? Who does that? Cooking. Do you like to cook? Because I want my wife to cook. I don't care what you do for a living, but you have to cook. Every one of these things, it was 101 questions. I said, I only need 54 or 55 of these questions. I don't care about the other ones, but I'll go through every one of them with you. So I did that exercise with 4 girls at the time that I liked, all of them. And they all knew this guy's looking for a wife because it was either
How old were you?
28 years old.
So young. Huh? That's young.
I was 28 years old. I was 28 years old. And I went through it with 3 other girls, girls I, loved. I mean, we have a very solid connection, but long term, it's not going to work. So here we made a decision to get married. At my wedding day, when I'm giving the message to everybody, I said, hey, I want to manage expectations with all of you guys moving forward in front of 500 people on my wedding. I said, number 1, don't ask my wife if she's pregnant. It's none of your business. I don't want anybody asking my wife that question. We'll let you know. It's not your business. Don't ask us, okay? If you want to see us more than once, don't ask us that question. Right. Leave it to us. We'll let you know. And we will be more than happy to celebrate that day with you, but don't ask. Number 2, I don't know how long we're going to be married. Here's what I do know. I think we can make it for 1 year. 1 year. And we're going to take this 1 year at a time. It's at 12 years right now. June 26th will be 13 years. The same day Brooklyn, my baby, was born, the youngest baby was born, will be our 13th year. We don't put that additional pressure of marriage that, people put over themselves, and it's like so much havoc with it. But if you're gonna make a decision to get married, that's a decision that you gotta really process with a lot of questions together. You can't just go because the sex is great, because she's hot, because you're hot. That'll be one of the biggest mistakes you'll make if you go based on that. Marriage is a lot deeper than that. It's a business, it's a relationship, it's a friendship, it's a lot of different things. So looking at it from that one side is a mistake.
I love that you bring that up. So as I go to the future now and I see what you're doing, right? One of my biggest objectives with having you on is, I was talking yesterday to Carlos Boozer. Remember Carlos Boozer, the basketball player? Of course. I work with his son. Yeah. And he played
for the Lakers 2 seasons.
For a little bit. And he goes to me, he goes, HP, what's up, man? How's the podcast? Well, I'm watching. It's doing great. I'm going to be on it soon, all this thing. I go, yeah, no, I'm going to have Patrick McDavid on tomorrow. And I did a poll, and it's funny because more people know your look versus your name. And I noticed that, especially on the East Coast. Yeah. Right? Because as I asked a ton of people, he knew you because of Rogan. He was on the Rogan thing. I think maybe, you know him from before? Or the Rogan? Did you know about him before? Before? But a lot of people are doing it, and I go, I gotta help Patrick in this part. I gotta put both together, because the picture's great, but if I show the person, no. To me, I love what you're doing with Valuetainment. When you said, here's the irony, so I know both sides. You said you want to make it CNN. Half of it's CNN, right? I had a very good relationship with Larry King. So I know CNN very well. Not politically, but I know the guy real well. Ted Turner was at the house a couple times, and I was able to do that. And you said you want to make it, and nobody on your show knows this one. CNN plus Kirk Kerkorian, right? Kirk Kerkorian is your people. Mm-hmm. Kirk Kerkorian is super important because he's almost like the old school Steve Wynn, in a sense, Armenian guy, entertainment guy, like good business guy, whatever. And then Jim Murin, I don't know if you know who Jim Murin is. Jim Murin used to be the CEO and chairman of MGM Resorts International. He used to work for Deutsche Bank before he got the thing. He handled the numbers and all that for Kirk Kerkorian. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I know Jim Murin is because after I failed 6 years as an actor, I tried to act. I only got like 3 things in Los Angeles as a celebrity coach. I was driving around. You ever see Entourage?
Of course.
I'm driving around Kevin Connolly. I'm this driver because I've never drank or done. I look this way. I've never drank or done drugs in my life. Never tried to taste alcohol. The only time I ever tasted alcohol is when I kiss a girl in a club.
Never drank.
Never drank in my life. Ever. And here's where it gets super interesting. I'm driving him around and he goes to me, man, the way you're with people, you know where you belong? Las Vegas. And I thought about it for a second and I go, he's right. So I grab everything. I moved to Las Vegas.
What year is this?
This is, before this, I'll forget this, so I'm gonna bring this up. Aaron Spicer. I was involved in a little thing that I get some money, so I'm doing good. I go to Aaron Spicer's class. I thought I saw you there. Did you do privates with him or classes with him?
I did a private with him, yeah.
Because I felt like
Spicer was the coach of Will Smith, J-Lo.
Do you know his story at all or no?
No.
So this is interesting. He gets the Wayans brothers.
Okay.
So he becomes the guy of the Wayans brothers. Mm-hmm. The Wayans brothers start bringing him in actors. So he gets J-Lo. He gets Jennifer. He goes, at the time that I get Jennifer, all the roles for Latinos was Rosie Perez. Everything was a Rosie Perez type.
J-Lo played Selena.
J-Lo played Selena.
Coached on Selena.
He got her for that. But he goes, when I got Jennifer, she had an ass like this. She was a fly girl, whatever. So he really believed in leaning people out. So when I got to him, I was jacked. I was on a lot of juice. So I was a monster, right? And he saw me and he goes, the worst guy I hated I loved his classes. I hated him one-on-one because I don't know if you felt the same thing. I always felt that he went slow on purpose so that the class like the money. He'd be like, well, the thing you have to do, Patrick, is you gotta believe. And I'd be like, oh my God, this guy's killing me. Like, get to the point, get to the point. But here's the interesting part. He gets The Rock. The movie that with Travolta, I think it's called like Get Shorty or something, where The Rock plays a gay character and The Rock is he leaned them out like nothing. He
was the bodyguard for Vince Vaughn. And Andre 3000 was in it. Andre, from Outkast. They had a great lineup. Yeah.
That movie.
Twinkle, Twinkle.
Yes.
That whole scene where they're running around the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does that, right? Right after that, The Rock goes, fuck this. I'm going to become The Rock. And I share that story with people because right before I moved to Hollywood, like as I was doing it, I started losing my hair. I don't know if it was because me dealing with my dad or what the fuck. But I started losing my hair probably at the age of 19 and 20. And I would go to barbers and barbers would tell me in Spanish, they'd be like, Chico, pero tú estás quedando cabo. Which almost like they were insulted that I was losing my hair. I was like, bro, do you think I have a choice here? So as I'm a tall dude, when they would do my hair, they would notice I was thinning here. And I was like, fuck, man, this sucks. And I had jet black hair like you. So I'm like, this is horrible. And I wanted to be this is a mistake that I made because of my identity issues. I wanted to be a lead man. And there was no bald guy lead man. And I wasn't going to rock the Jason Statham. I'm not doing that. That little half, homie, don't play that thing. I'm not doing that. So I did the hair surgery, right? But unlike you do prepare for everything in life. I didn't. This hair surgery works. I'm going to get it. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be like Deuce Bigelow, the guy with the long hair. I'm going to be rocky like that, ponytail, this and that. Patrick, I didn't know you have to take Propecia, ProStar. And now, you take Propecia. What is Propecia's number one thing to do? Lower your what? Testosterone. It's a blocker, because usually guys who are bald, it's because they have too much testosterone.
Wow.
So look at this irony now, and I did zero. Unlike this, why you're successful, man. It's all to give you props. I do that. My hair, I don't get the surgery. I get stuck with the happy face scar here for the rest of my life. And I literally went from 25 that I did the surgery to 30 with hair issues in my brain the whole time. So I would try to cover my hair and I cut it. And then there's this thing called Topics that the Hollywood actor put hair, which is awesome. Then it was full, but then what happens? A whole purpose to hook up with chicks. I'm hooking up with a girl. It's like I have to do like the Matrix karate chop because you know how girls, they gotta tie your hair. You can't jump in the pool. You can't jump in the shower, nothing. But at the age of 31, when I moved to Las Vegas, I shaved my head. And I go, fuck it. And the reason why I bring this story up is something you do very well is you talk about things that matter. And we are unprepared. We're unprepared to deal with baldness as men. We're unprepared to deal with machismo and testosterone as ethnic men. We're unprepared to deal with vulnerability. So when Coach Massey on the show mentions, no, that this generation is not prepared and they want everything instant, of course they're not, because they haven't been taught. And how he mentions the parents, 1,000% the problem is the parents. But the schools is on top of that, because me and you understand this extremely well. You want to know why? Because we were around in the beeper era. So when somebody had the beep, oh, I got the 823, I got this, she's thinking about me. Yeah. So we understand that. How are you going to explain to Dylan when the guy's like, Dad, I want to see a movie? Okay, boom, there we go. That's not how dreams happen. That's not how you find the love of your life. That's not how do you teach that? And the reason why you're important is because you're a guy that's entering realms of that with Valuetainment, with what you're doing, because the most, and I want to get your take on this, the most important post in my eyes, piece of content you've ever done is the one you did with your house. And I'm going to tell you why. How many guys can show off their $25 million house and not come across like complete dickheads? There's only one guy, you. You show that house with heart, with family. Like when I saw that, and I saw that in November, I had known of you, but I had no interest in Patrick and David. Once I saw that, I go, I'm gonna interview this guy. I said to myself, I'm gonna interview this guy, and I'm gonna talk to him when I get there. Go through me with your mindset when you were walking through the house, because now you're out of your comfort zone, because that's not you. Like this is like literally this. So I think that was so important, and I'm gonna tell you why after, but I wanna hear from you, Pat, while you were doing that, what was your mindset that, okay, I don't wanna look like a fucking idiot here. I'm doing this for a reason. What was your mindset doing that?
It's crazy. It's not me. That's not my style to do that. But I am a marketer, and I understand the story of marketing and people knowing of, what you're doing. And I saw a couple other channels showing the house. So I said, if you're going to tell the story of the house, I'm going to tell the story of the house from my perspective. And here's what this house means to me. So it was getting ahead of other people telling the story of the house. But from my point of view, not anybody else's point of view when we got that house. But that's really all it was. I got a lot of things that I could be shown. I don't do it because that's not the DNA of the content we create. Valuetainment is value, entertainment, and it's becoming a movement. That's really the DNA of the content. But that is a part of it, marketing. I'd say marketing is what it was.
But you just came across so cool. Like you didn't come across as a dude.
I don't. But here's I don't want to. But I always when I was a kid and in America they talk about these sleepovers people do, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be good with kids doing sleepovers. You want a sleepover at my house? You can have a sleepover at our house. Right. I know exactly where everybody's at. I'm not comfortable with my kids doing sleepovers at anybody else's house. So everything here is thought of. Even this is a beautiful house we got, but I got another idea what I want to do with the house, because I want all my kids, when they're married and they have grandkids, I want all their grandkids to come and see grandpa. Right. So to do that, I want that opportunity for grandkids to want to be around it. That'd be the biggest driver.
How are we doing on time?
5 more minutes.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You're happy with that, how it turned out? Are you? Oh, yeah. I almost felt like you interviewed him. You didn't know, but I felt like you interviewed him. Yeah. You look super natural, super cool. How was that? Any nerves going into that? Talk to me about that.
No, because Joe to me is one of the most realist guys out there. There's two things in life when it comes down to a connection with an individual. There's many people you'll love in life, but you may not like them. They just so happen to be your family. I can love you. I don't have to like you. There's a few people in life you're going to like, you're not going to love. And then there's going to be certain people you're going to be like, man, I just like this guy, I love this guy. Joe is that guy. Joe's the guy you like, and Joe's the guy you love and you'll fight for. Like, this guy's got to keep his voice. Right. He's one of those guys. Those guys are hard to find. The guy's got money. The guy's got respect. The guy's got, he lives a life that he wants to live, and he can beat up 99.9% of the world. But he's just Joe Rogan, so you feel that with him.
Let me tell you what I love that you did. I saw your post. I saw you at dinner with him. I saw Tony sitting across the edge. I go, Tony's coming on a show right away. I knew it was coming on PBD. He's here, PBD. What I love that you're doing is you're now opening up the branch. That's why it's the difference between the one-on-one thing, the mafia thing, all that worked beautifully, right? But what you're doing now with the team, I like, because you're adding now, you're a fastball guy, now you're adding a curveball to your rotation. Now you have adding a changeup. And you're going to become the guy in Fort. When you come to South Florida, soon you're going to get my boy Andrew Schultz. He'll be on this thing. Elon is coming at some point of the thing. You'll get Tim. You're going to be the comedian guy that comes into, and I think that plays very well with you because nobody in your world is doing that authentically. Did you do that on purpose?
The comedy side?
Yeah.
The comedy side is a strategic move because comedy allows you to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Comedy is very necessary because when I'm in a pretty serious business, right? I'm in insurance, which is very, very serious, right? Financial, it's very, very serious. And if you're just in a box, well, you have to be very serious when you talk about this stuff. Comedy allows you to just shoot the shit, but you can still make people think.
Right.
Comedy allows you to get somebody to say, man, that just makes sense. You know, I laughed, I cracked up. That was a pretty great joke. But the point behind it was, I don't know, I've never thought about it that before. This makes sense. So I think comedy, I tweeted the other day saying something about comedians are extremely important today to be protected because we have to allow comedians to say whatever the hell they want to say. And we have to be okay with getting offended by it. We can't get everybody to walk on eggshells. Okay, fine. Certain people, you don't want them to say anything they want to say, fine. Comedians, we got to let them say whatever they want to say.
Two things. So after I left Los Angeles, I moved to Las Vegas. On a 4-year run, I became the most successful nightclub host. I started off as a promoter and I ended up being director of customer development, a club called Hyde in the Bellagio. Mm-hmm. I lived at the Aria Hotel. It was a Mandarin Oriental at the time. I was the 4C, and now it's the.
This is 2010.
This is 2011.
Yeah.
Hyde opened in 2011. On 4-year run. So
this is after Pimps and Hoes. So Pimps and Hoes is still going on or no? It's been done for a while.
It's probably been done for a while.
Got it.
And I become Mr.
at Bellagio.
I become Mr. Las Vegas. Like I got my PhD there, how to deal with people. I became the most powerful guy in Las Vegas that didn't own a club. Like I was the guy and I really learned how to
Why'd you leave?
People. Because I felt the man upstairs was talking to me. And he goes, okay, the legend can't die in a Las Vegas nightclub. You need more. There's something here missing. And I was like, everything this is the first time my dad was proud of me. Like I would imagine, I have every hookup on I have my man, George, the famous chef, bro. John George is cooking for me because I'm the guy. I'm in a Vegas nightclub. Everybody's coming to me in the Bellagio. I'm friends with all the chefs, with everybody. Private planes, now I'm with celebrities. Now I have what I've always wanted, right? Mm-hmm. But the man upstairs started talking to me. And he started talking to me. And he goes, listen, and somebody came and spoke to me and said, listen, you're not going to be this club guy forever. The lady was very religious. She goes, you're going to end up working with kids. I go, are you crazy? I'm not leaving this set. I've been wanting this my whole life. So the only reason why I left that is because I felt something.
Interesting.
And then I left to marry the love of my life, who was a Cuban girl from Miami. They went to the same high school, never spoke to her, but I saw her one time. It was the hottest girl in the world. And she reached out to me to throw her best friend's bachelorette party. And I did it. And I saw everything aligning. I go, I'm going to do that. Last place I wanted to do was come back to Florida, to come back to Miami. I was winning like crazy. And I did that and I moved here and I became Coach HP. And all I do is, I'm like the kid whisperer. I help people with stuff in their kids. Pat, there's a million things here. We're going to have to do a part.
I wish we had more time, but we don't because I literally have a mastermind right now. They keep walking past.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But, dude, I'm so proud of you for everything you accomplish. I'm here to help. I can't tell you how many things. Grab the paintings real quick so we can show them that. Before I let you go, anything I can help you with, man? Any questions for me? I'm working with Dylan. You're gonna have me on a baseball field, and that's the done deal.
No, but we got to follow up. Like we got to follow up and see what we can do. But off camera, we'll definitely have to have. And you live in Miami right now?
Yeah, I'm close.
You live in Miami right now. Okay. Yeah, I mean Dylan right now. Dylan's got a soccer coach. Dylan's got a jiu-jitsu coach. He does not have a baseball coach. The guy that's working with him right now, he's working strictly on his son. But Yeah, we'll have to have many conversations together.
We'll have a lot.
Yeah.
It's your coach. I'm going to tell you where this guy goes. He's everywhere. Patrick Bet David, the legend, the man. See you on the next one.